All right, timeline. I like this. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. There's different stages of the rehab, right? When you start out, you're going to put it under contract. You're going to take a couple weeks to close. So what the timeline deals with is when you're going to get paid. So if you want to make money, if you want to get a check this year by flipping a house, it's probably not going to happen unless you bought something a couple months ago. So here's a typical timeline. You got 2 to 3 weeks to close. 8 to 10 weeks for the rehab on average, depending on how extensive it is, depending on a number of things. It's about 2 months, right? You've got to market the house, you've got to sell it, you've got to resell it. It'll take 30 days, 60 days, depending on the area. Then you got to close. Remember when closings used to happen in like 2 or 3 weeks or like 30 days? Now they just automatically put 45 or sometimes 60 days out. It's like, man, what are these people doing? And you know the loan officer doesn't start working on it for 30 days because he knows he's got 45 days out, right? But you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks to close. So overall, your timeline, and this is important. This is what happens a lot of times. People they want to get started. They want to do a deal. They put it off for a couple months, or they finish a deal and they wait a couple months to get started. It takes a little bit longer. It takes longer to find a house because they didn't have like a specific timeline that they can measure against what other investors are doing. But this is a pretty typical deal right here. 2 to 3 weeks before you close, 8 to 10 weeks for the rehab, 8 to 10 weeks to sell it, 4 to 6 weeks to close. So all that adds up to is this. The one thing that you can change, you can kind of change the market by picking what area you want to buy in. But what you can affect yourself is how quickly you get the rehab done. We refer to this here at Build as the rehab rate. So it's how long it takes you to complete the rehab relative to the total cost. And we know, because we've sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of houses, about how long it takes real estate investors at different experience levels to complete a rehab. And sometimes it's not very pretty. Take this for example, a $35,000 rehab. If your rate of rehab was $5,000, that's how much work you can get done in 1 week. That means that rehab would be done in how much time?
7 weeks.
7 weeks. So going back to that formula, that's the one thing that you can really affect, is how quickly you turn those rehabs around. There's a huge difference between the investors who are really making it happen and the ones that are just kind of stumbling along. Some of these people will take a year to finish one rehab. In the meantime, other investors have done 4 in that time. They never took on more than one at once, but they just turned them quickly. And these are all people with full-time jobs. They're not full-time contractors. This is what they're doing on the side. This is the biggest difference that you can make. I'll throw out 3 figures for you here. 1, an advanced rehabber, we have guys that do this, that are knocking out rehabs at a rate of $10,000 a week. So that means a $30,000 rehab they can get done in about a month. New investors, I hate to say it, are about $1,500 a week. So if you're over that, you're doing good. But most investors, and this year alone, we've sold to 94 brand new real estate investors. And that's about the pace. And look, we'll take you right there. We'll help you. I'll give you everything you need, but I can't drag you through it.
If you do it yourself.
A lot of them, what they end up trying to do is do a lot of it themselves. And we'll talk about what you should do yourself and what you shouldn't. That's what ends up happening. They try to save a little bit of money by trying to do it themselves. Or try to go with the cheapest contractor instead of the most reliable. So they end up paying somebody twice. The guy that they didn't hire at the beginning, they end up hiring him later to come back and fix the job of the other guy, right? And you laughed when he said, "We can pay me now or pay me later." You're like, I wonder what that means. You found out 3 weeks later. So a good target, though, is about $3,000 to $5,000 a week. Even if you could hit like $5,000 a week, that's good. That means you're not going to rehab out in about 2 months. Anything longer than that, you really just start to lose momentum. You start to, it's like, oh man, I got to go back to the house. And your wife's like, honey, you got to go back to the house. Or if it's like my wife, you're like, honey, can you please go back to the house? Get out of there. One of our investors, he's like, yeah, I just finished my rehab. He's like, I don't know what I'm going to do on Saturday mornings. I might have to take up golf or something to get out of the prep, get out of away from my family. So I don't recommend that. But what I'm saying is this. understand how long it's going to take you to get that rehab done, and always try to get it done quickly. Just get it on, get it over with, get it finished, get it on the market, and get it sold. You don't want to think that you're going to be put a house on the market in the spring and you don't finish it, and the next thing you know, it's Thanksgiving, you're putting it on the market. So you've got all kinds of carrying costs, you got soft costs, all kinds of weird things happen the longer you have that house. Yes?
The dollar amount that you divided the duration of the rehab, is that your profit or your cost of the rehab?
Great question. That's the cost of the rehab. So you should know, let me back up here. So you should know what the rehab is going to be on that house. If you buy a property from us, we have a full rehab breakdown of everything that the property needs. And we even have a detailed rehab breakdown. We'll show you the roof is this many square and it's this much per square, this much carpet, this much, like very, very detailed breakdowns. But if you take the overall rehab amount and you divide it by your particular rate that you're going for, and that should give you about your timeline. I'm just telling you the average, if you want to calculate, this would be about $3,000 if you're a brand new investor starting out. And what's the biggest delay?
What?
What's the biggest delay? What causes the rehabs to take so long? Is it because rehabbers are lazy? No. Was it?
Contractors.
Contractors, right. Absolutely. It's contractors. It's lining them up. People don't realize when they start that I can't call somebody, what day is this, Thursday? I can't call a contractor and get him out to the job on Monday. If he's worth his salt, he's probably busy. So I might be able to get him out there next week to take a look at the job, and maybe he's available. He can start the week after that. So you're always 2 to 3 weeks out. So you have to always be thinking. We do tons of workshops on this stuff just on managing your rehab on a week-to-week basis. All right, so taking those numbers and taking those standards, when will you see your first check? Well, 22 to 29 weeks. Remember I said there's little chance you're going to get paid this year? 22 weeks would mean you would get your paycheck from your proceeds of the sale, check in your hand. You're just going to miss taking your girlfriend out for Valentine's Day. But that's if you're busting your hump and you're getting it done. Because remember, a lot of that's just reselling it on the back end and waiting for it to sell in the marketing, waiting to close. That takes 2 or 3 weeks just to close. If you're really slow and you're on the bottom end of that, then you're at April 5th, just in time to buy me a really nice birthday present. But so just in general, what you need to be thinking about is about 25 weeks. So it ranges from 22 to 29 weeks. Now we absolutely have people that blow those numbers way out of the water, and they take 70 weeks, unfortunately. But they just forget about it. They want to stop thinking about it. Look, the house isn't going anywhere, all right? You can't get away from it. It's not a stock that you can just sell and be like, oh, well, there it is. It got to zero. Real estate can go way past zero. Right? Let me say that again. Unlike stocks, real estate can go way, way past zero. It only could take, we've seen investors that are going really good for a while, and then they get real confident, and they start doing more than one rehab or taking on a bigger job, and next thing you know, the wheels just fall off. And when they do, man, get out of the way. But they're stuck with that house, right? So the biggest piece of advice I can give you, no matter how long you've been doing this, unless you really have the means and the skill set to do it and the manpower or woman power, don't do more than one rehab at once. Okay, you can buy a house, fix it up. As soon as that rehab is done, get it on the market, then buy another one. But don't try to manage more than one rehab, particularly if you've got a full-time job. I'm not saying that every single time we've seen the wheels fall off. I'm not saying that every single time somebody's done that, the wheels have fallen off. But I'm telling you, every single time I've seen somebody's wheels fall off, they've taken on more than one rehab.